Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it may be where you are at. Thank you for making Kai's Sports Opinion and me, Kyler Durham, a part of your day. Before I start this episode, I want to say I am wearing this, and if you have a problem with this, sorry. For the audio listeners, it is I'm with Cap, Colin Kaepernick blacked out jersey. It's a cool looking jersey. It's cold, and I like the guy. So if that turns you off, I'm sorry, but that's kind of where I stand. So let's not get political at all. That's it. Let's get into our our week recap, NFL Week 2 recap, as well as the Thursday night game for Week 3, and then we'll start on the predictions for the NFL Week 3 and the Thursday night game for Week 4. So last week, like I've said before, you see life, looking at through the windshield, you look back, hindsight 2020. I look at a couple games I picked and I go, not a great pick. Other games, I'm happy that I picked the teams I picked. Last week, I went 9-6. So I think as a professional gambler or whatever, it's like if you're like 58%, like you're pretty good. So I did pretty good this week. And as far as spreads, I'm not going to get into details on spreads, but I did pretty good on spreads as well. Obviously, I missed a couple. I missed the Seahawks-Patriots spread, which was a great game, by the way. I missed a couple spreads, but I missed the Dallas Cowboys spread, but I got a lot of spreads right. So I'm pretty pleased with my predictions for Week 1. Let's see if I can go 11-4, 12-3 this next week. That'd be pretty cool. So let's start off with Sunday football. The Giants played the Bears in Midway. 17-13. The big takeaway from this game, the only notable takeaway that I got from the game, I love football, and it was kind of a boring football game. Saquon Barkley, torn ACL, out for the year. I'm going to go over some injuries in a little bit, but that's kind of the huge headline of the Giants-Bears. The Giants are already going to have a kind of a dismal season. Their best player, he's their franchise. That's tough. That's a tough loss. So we'll see what the Giants can do moving forward without their star player, how Daniel Jones can kind of cope without having his number one guy behind him. But I think it's going to be a tough season. I thought it was going to be a tough season for the Giants anyway, but it's looking pretty bad now. The game that I really want to talk about, watched every single play. If you know me, you know I am a Dallas Cowboy fan. My dad raised me that way. We watched every game every Sunday of my childhood. Monday Night Football, we watched it. Thursday Night Football, we watched it. Dallas at the Falcons. In my lifetime, Dallas doesn't win those games. Dallas loses close games like that. Dallas, it's usually the other team kicking the game-winning field goal as time expires. It's usually the other team that has some great comeback. And when Dallas is in that position to win in my life, they've always lost. And Dallas won 40-39. The Falcons were up 20-0 at one point. Dallas fumbled 3 times in the first quarter. Went for it on fourth down twice. Didn't convert either of them. I didn't really understand that. Went for 2 at the end of the game, close to the end of the game. They were it was 30-39. They went for 2. At the time I didn't really understand why you go for 2 there, but this is the second time in Matt Ryan's career that we've seen him, not his fault, but that we have seen him have a lead and the football team that he is on gives up that lead. And when your quarterback gets all the praise for success, when your team succeeds, everyone loves the quarterback. And when your team fails, everyone knocks the quarterback. That's not on Matt Ryan. You scored 20 points off turnovers early. You scored 39 points in a game. You win those football games. 90% of the time, you score 20 points off turnovers in the first quarter, and then you got a 20-point lead, and you score 39 points in a football game. You win that game. The Falcons lost. Like I said, Dallas fan through and through, and a win is a win is a win. But I didn't think Dallas won that game. I thought the Falcons lost that game. I will say this, Dak Prescott, Hayden Johnson, I hope you love this because you're not going to hear much of this year. Aaron Smile over there. You're not going to hear much of this very often. I'm Dak's biggest critiquer besides the fumble. The dude threw for 450 yards, threw a touchdown, ran for 3 more down on the goal line. Besides the fumble, Dak Prescott was flawless. Dak Prescott was very, very, very good. Don't need him to throw for 400 yards very often. When you're playing from behind, you throw the football more, so you kind of pad your passing stats. That's kind of what happened. But I think moving forward, if Dak Prescott finds himself in a hole like this again, if he can help dig his team out, help get his team out of the hole and win games like this and play the way that he played against the Falcons consistently throughout the year, he will earn the contract that he has betted on himself to get. And I hope that he does, because if he does, that means for me as a Cowboys fan, he's played well. And as far as the Falcons, when they scored a touchdown, they were up 26-7 maybe. I don't remember, 26-10 maybe. And they chose to go for 2. And I'm sitting next to my dad, and I made the comment. I was like, what's Dan Quinn doing? Why are you going for 2 right here? And my dad's like, well, you want to get it back to an 8. You want that at an even number so that it's 18-point game or whatever. And I said, what if watching the game, what if this comes back and bites you? You go ahead and kick that extra point. And then if my math is correct, if you add 1 to 39, you got 40 points. So if everything goes the same way, but you went ahead and took your free point after attempt, which is mostly free, like a 90-something% success rate, the Cowboys are kicking for overtime. They're not kicking for the win. So this will be a game that I'll remember for a long time. There's a lot of Dallas Cowboy games that I vividly remember. The Dez Bryant, Dez caught it. Remember that game like it was yesterday. Watching the Cowboys, Romo bobble the snap. Remember it like it was yesterday against the Seahawks in the wild card round. I remember all these games, and they're always bad. They always end bad for Dallas. So this is a nice memory that I'm always going to have. I'm always going to be able to say, hey, week 2, 2020 against the Atlanta Falcons. My gosh, what a comeback, what a game, like ridiculous. But I'm also always going to say the Falcons lost that game. Dallas didn't really win that game. Fall on the onside kick. Just fall on it. Don't watch it roll. Just fall on it. Game's over. Don't go for 2 when you don't need to. I know we want to get cute and, do things like that as coaches and puff out our chest. Just take your free points. Take your free points. Just take your point after attempt, knock it down, and if everything continues, you're going to overtime. So this is the longest game that I'm covering. It's the longest one I'm going to talk about. The rest of these will be pretty quick. But I don't know. I will watch that game again. It'll be on NFL Network probably tomorrow. I will definitely check it out. Or it'll be on NFL Network. It'll be on YouTube. You'll find it. You can see it. I'm gonna rewatch it for sure. And the second time you watch a game, because you know the outcome, you see different things. You watch different things. I'm really interested in Dak Prescott's footwork in the pocket. Dak Prescott rhythm throws. Is it on a 3-step drop, 5-step drop? Bunch of football nerd crap. That's what I'll look for. But if you have a chance, go back and watch that game. It was very entertaining. One of the most entertaining Dallas Cowboy games that I've ever watched that ended well for the Cowboys. I've seen entertaining games for the Cowboys, and they always lose. But this was refreshing. This felt nice. This was good. This is good. All right, so one that I missed big time. Lions at the Packers. I picked the Lions, and early in the second quarter, I felt pretty good. It was a close football game. Like I stated last Saturday, the last 2 times last year, the 2 times that the Lions played the Packers, they lost both games by a combined 4 points. So they've played the Packers close. And then Matt Stafford threw a really bad pick, and their defense imploded, and pretty much it went from like a 3-point game to 42-21 was the final. The Packers rolled. Aaron Jones, the running back, balled out. 18 carries, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played great. Lions have Adrian Peterson. He's on his last leg, which is kind of disappointing. He's been the best running back of my life that I've witnessed with my own eyes for a full career that I can remember. But next game, I took the Jaguars to beat the Titans, and the Titans won 33-30. Close game, those 3-point games, those can literally go either way. I'm still not super down on Jacksonville. I'll get to them here in a minute on another prediction that I made. But I'm not really down on Jacksonville that much. I think they're not going to be a great team. Like I said, 5-6 win team, 4-5-6 in that ballpark. But those 4 or 5 wins will be against teams that it could ruin their season. But 33-30, the Titans won. The one that I was really off on, so I missed 3 games in a row, and I felt bad during the day. I was like, oh, God, my predictions are going to suck. The Colts beat the Vikings 28-11. I picked the Vikings, and like I said last episode, I need to amend my predictions for the year. I don't even know if I have the Vikings making the playoffs. I know it's only 2 weeks in, but I don't feel like the Colts are like a great football team. I don't feel like they're bad. Great offensive line. They have a good wide receiver core. I like their defense. It's okay. The Vikings are kind of all over the place as far as offensive production, which Kirk Cousins, I really don't know what I'm getting from game in and game out. But, yeah, the Colts beat the Vikings 28-11. I missed that pick. Bills-Dolphins, once again, just like the Jaguars-Titans, it's a 3-point game, 31-28. I did pick the Bills. Josh Allen, he threw for like 400 yards. What is this? 415 yards and 4 touchdowns. He played extremely well. I don't think the Dolphins are an easy win ever. The Dolphins are not a good football team, but the Dolphins are not an easy win. Brian Flores, of all the coaches in the NFL, if you ask me who gets his team to coach the hardest, who gets his team to play the hardest, what coach gets the most out of the talent he has around him, gets them to give their all 100% of the time, I would probably tell you Brian Flores. Miami Dolphins are not going to win a lot of games either, but they're going to play good teams very close, and they're going to be in games that they probably should not be in. And with Ryan Fitzpatrick, you don't know what you're getting week to week. So I think we see Tua a little sooner than probably he needs to be out there, but we'll talk about that when it gets here. The 49ers at the Jets. I picked the Jets, another team that I said could upset somebody. The Niners rolled them 31-13. It was never a close game, but just like the Giants and Bears, the story of this game is not the final score. The story of this game is all the injuries that we saw. You lose Jimmy Garoppolo, Tevin Coleman. I got a whole list here. Tevin Coleman, D Ford, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dree Greenlaw, Raheem Mostert, George Kittle's been limited in practice. Jason Verrett, the cornerback, he's been in practice, but he's also working through a hamstring injury. So they won, but at what cost? Like, they lost a lot of key players. And Richard Sherman's on the IR. Like I said, Mostert, knee injury. You got Jimmy Garoppolo. He's got a high ankle sprain. When's he going to be back? Is he going to be healthy when he comes back? Kittle, D Ford, the back. They just had a lot of injuries all at one time. And I already picked them not to make the playoffs, not because of injuries. It's just every year, half the teams that made the playoffs don't make it the next year. So somebody's got to be out. And I think in the NFC West, being a very competitive division, I picked them to take a step back. Based on, does the coach trust the quarterback, Super Bowl hangover, that kind of thing. I picked them not to be in the playoffs, and due to injury, I feel like that's now not a bad look. We'll see what happens going forward. Who knows? Chris Mullins, the backup quarterback, who I like, he could come out and win 2 games while Garoppolo's out, or 3 games while Garoppolo's out, and they don't skip a beat. So we'll see what happens. Rams Eagles, missed this one too. The Rams won 37-19. Sean McVay's really good. Sean McVay's a good coach. Sean McVay's an offensive genius. And I have a topic about Carson Wentz in the NFC East I'm going to get to after the predictions I'm doing here. But I'll just say this. Carson Wentz. On the NYMP, I amended my Super Bowl picks. I'll do that here too at the end of this episode. But wow. Rams look good. The Eagles did not. The Eagles' offensive line didn't look great. Carson Wentz, once again, does not look good, but we'll talk about that later. Steelers at Broncos. I picked the Steelers. They won 26-21. Drew Lock, a guy that I was very high on going into the year, he got injured in this game. Pittsburgh's tenacious defense knocked him out. Jeff Driscoll, the backup quarterback, he came in. He threw 2 touchdowns, I believe, also a pick. Didn't look bad. Didn't look great. I think he had under 50% for his completion percentage or close to it. 18 for 34, so like 52%, 53%. Not great. James Conner, 16 carries, 106 yards. He played well. I'm pretty high on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like when they have Big Ben and Big Ben is falling in line the way he's supposed to, and their defense plays at an all-time level like they're playing right now. It's going to be hard for me to pick against Pittsburgh this year. It is. It's going to be hard for me to pick against Pittsburgh. And if Big Ben stays healthy, I don't see why they can't be competitive in the playoffs. But yeah, 26-21, the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Denver Broncos. I got this pick right as well. The Carolina Panthers played in Tampa Bay, played the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers won 31-17. Tom Brady looked good. Of their schedule the next 2-3 weeks, I felt like this was the game that they had to win, that you need to win to kind of put your naysayers, kind of shut them up for a week about, well, Tom Brady didn't look good. I didn't expect Tom Brady to come out and look good. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'm about to pull up their schedule real quick. They play the Broncos next week. If they have Drew Lock, I might take the Broncos, but they don't. They play the Chargers after that in week 4. The Chargers, tough game. I'm going to take the Chargers there. And they play the Bears. Bears have a good defense. Bears have Khalil Mack. The Bears have won some games. The Bears are 2-0. They haven't looked bad. They haven't looked great. They haven't looked bad. And if Tom Brady's still trying to get the feel of offense, get some chemistry, all that stuff, get the verbiage, the language right, you could drop one to the Bears. But then after that, when they play the Packers, I think is where they really hit their stride and they start winning some football games. So, no, I expected the Buccaneers to win this football game, and they did. The Washington football team, they played in Arizona, played the Arizona Cardinals, and I had an early MVP vote for Kyler Murray. I said Kyler Murray's going to have a good year. And I said that because I looked at the schedule. And yes, he's in the NFC West. Yes, he's got to play Russell Wilson twice. Yes, he's got to play the 49ers defense twice. Yes, he's got to play Sean McVay and the Rams twice. But everywhere else, I feel like for the Cardinals, it's kind of a cupcake. I expected them. They play the Lions next week. They play the Panthers with first-year coach Matt Rule. They play the New York Jets. They'll beat them. Then they play Dallas. We do not have a good secondary. They play the Seahawks, tough game. They play the Dolphins, a team they can beat. They play the Bills, a team they can beat. Play the Seahawks again. Then they play the Patriots, who aren't quite the Patriots. They're still the Patriots, but not quite at the caliber. They play the Rams. Could go either way. The Giants, roll the Giants. The Eagles, they'll probably roll the Eagles. The 49ers, they'll win one of those games against the 49ers, and they finish off with the Rams. We could see them winning 11 games. So I picked the Cardinals to win this football game. They won 30-15. They just looked like the better team. And like I said, it's going to be hard to get hands on Kyler Murray because, like I said last week, he doesn't run around like he's got cinder blocks tied to his feet like Carson Wentz. And what happened? Roll out to the right, can't catch him, ball on the run, first down, move the chains, look good, had a rushing touchdown, I think. The Washington football team, I almost messed up right there, Aaron. The Washington football team, they don't have the speed to keep up with a mobile quarterback like that, and that's exactly what I thought would happen. The Kansas City Chiefs played the Los Angeles Chargers, went into overtime, a lot closer than I thought, but I picked the Chiefs. Chiefs won. the story of this was Tyrod Taylor. So I've heard of many players getting injections before games, during games, after games. Apparently, they were trying to give the Chargers medical staff was trying to give Tyrod Taylor a injection, a steroid, like a pain reliever, like injection for a rib, and they punctured his lung. And as far as like civil suits and lawsuits and stuff, I don't know what's going to happen there. But the Chargers coaching staff has already made a point that when Tyrod Taylor's healthy, that he's the starter, and that they did not see enough from Justin Herbert. They lost 23-20. Justin Herbert looked pretty good. The Chargers defense looked pretty good. The Chiefs just have the better quarterback and the better roster. And, most of the time the better roster is going to win. And they did, 23-20. That game happened again. I would pick the Chiefs again. I would pick the Chiefs to cover the spread. I feel like when the Chiefs meet the Chargers again, when they meet them later in the year, I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Chiefs are going to blow the Chargers out. Ravens played at the Texans in Houston. I picked the Ravens. They won 33-16. Houston, I don't like you. I feel bad for you guys, man. I feel bad for Houston fans now. Like, poor Deshaun Watson. You signed the contract, and, how many games they win this year? Let's be honest. I'm not saying this because I hate them. I'm saying this being honest. 7 games? 6 games? I think it's going to be a tough year for Houston. Their defense is definitely not what it was. J.J. Watt, in my opinion, is reaching the final leg of his career. I think 4 years left of decent football. Injuries have really hampered him. I like J.J. Watt. Great guy off the field. I feel like he's a pretty good guy on the field. One of the best defensive players I've seen in my lifetime, and will definitely be in the Hall of Fame. But you trade DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, who, I'm surprised. He might already be injured. I don't know. The dude gets hurt every year. Not his fault. He's a great running back. He just can't stay healthy. And they didn't do really much to improve their offensive line. And I don't see Houston being a good football team. Baltimore, I'm still on the 15-1. Baltimore goes 15-1 or might not lose a football game. Baltimore is, in my opinion, the best or the second best team in the NFL. They are dangerous, and I don't know when I'm ever going to pick them to lose a game this year. Patriots at Seahawks. I called this one kind of wrong. I said it'd be the fastest game you'd ever see. The score was 35-30. The Seahawks won. I did get the pick right. The Seahawks did cover the spread. I picked the Seahawks not to cover the spread. But Cam Newton threw the ball like 44 times. And Russell Wilson let it rip. What did he throw, 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers or something like that? Russell Wilson played amazing. Russell Wilson is, if you told me you're 2 weeks through the season, who's your MVP? It's Russell Wilson, then Kyler Murray. Those are my 2 MVPs right now. But Russell Wilson, and the fact that I hate that everyone on sports media, sports radio are saying this now, that Russell Wilson's never got an MVP vote. I said it a year ago. Find the episode of the NYNP, Aaron, and put it up. Edit it in here if you can ever find it. I said, I think it was over a year ago, how has Russell Wilson never received an MVP vote? The dude does the same thing every single year. Over 4,000 yards, close to 40 touchdowns, between 5 and 8 picks, and he's always in the playoffs, wins a playoff game, gets you real close to a Super Bowl every single year, a couple plays away from being in a Super Bowl every single year. And now we're talking about the MVP votes. Through 2 weeks, he's thrown 9 touchdowns. He's thrown 11 incompletions. He's almost found the end zone more than the ball has not found one of his receivers. That's impressive. And this game came down to the wire, too. Last play, Cam, they're at the goal line. It's kind of a quarterback draw, kind of a quarterback keeper. He probably could have bounced to the outside and scored. He chose to go inside. I don't hate the Patriots. I don't. I still think that there's a chance that the Patriots can win the AFC East with Cam Newton, and I don't think Cam Newton has looked bad. I know there's the Cam Newton haters like my dad that just thinks Cam Newton sucks. I'm not one of those people. I think Cam Newton in New England, in the Bill Belichick system, I think he can definitely succeed. If anyone can help Cam revive his career, it's definitely Bill Belichick. But yeah, the Seahawks 35, the Patriots 30. And the last game of this week, well, not the last game, but the Monday Night Football game, I picked the Saints. Las Vegas Raiders won 34-24. Derek Carr and John Gruden looked good. You don't say this very often. Sean Payton got outcoached. Sean Payton definitely got outcoached. And as I watched that game, I watched on some comeback routes and some spot concepts where they implemented Derek Carr's drop back into when guys will be breaking their routes. I've heard that John Gruden is not a big fan of Derek Carr's footwork in the pocket, that Derek Carr kind of gets crazy feet, kind of gets all turned one way or the other, and it causes him to be inaccurate. So what John Gruden has put into his offense, and watch this next week, are when guys are making their breaks, when they're ending their routes, and when the ball should be coming out, is when Derek Carr is reaching the end of his drop. So he's not standing in the pocket very long. It's 1, 2, 3, the guy's breaking his route, ball's out. So he's always throwing off his back foot. Almost every single throw is off that back foot, 1, 2, 3, drop, ball's gone. Or on a comeback, a 5-step drop, hits that 5th step, that back foot, ball's coming out. So as the receiver's turning around, or as the receiver's breaking off his route, Derek Carr is at the end of his drop, and the ball's coming out. And when the receiver turns around, the ball's on the way. And I thought that the Saints defense looked pretty bad, and I've knocked John Gruden, but I will definitely give credit where it's due. John Gruden, his coaching staff, his offensive scheme looked great, and I picked the Raiders to be my seventh, my last team to get in the playoffs in the AFC. I feel pretty good after that win against the Saints about that pick. The final game of the week, it starts week 3, was the Dolphins played at the Jaguars. I took the Jaguars, so it brought my total to 9-7. I didn't even count that game. So 9-7, not a bad week. I hope I can do better next week. Maybe, like I said, 11-5, 12-4. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's one of those games. He had 2 incomplete passes. It's the Fitzmagic thing. Next week he'll throw 4 picks. The Dolphins' defense looked pretty good. I felt Garner Minshew stepped into a lot of sacks. As I watched that game, I'm screaming at the TV, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, because Garner just held the ball, and it led to sacks. But, yeah, the Dolphins won 31-13. So let me get into my Week 3 predictions. I'll make these really, really fast. Bears at Falcons. Bears are 2-0. Falcons are 0-2. I think after that heartbreaking loss to the Cowboys, I don't want to pick the Falcons, because when I pick the Falcons, it doesn't work. But I'm going to pick the Falcons. I'm going to take the Falcons. I think they win. They scored a lot of points. They showed they can score a lot of points. I'm going to take the Falcons 33-20, and I say 20 because I don't trust the Bears' offense. They haven't scored a lot of points. They scored 17 last week. Rams at the Bills. Both teams are 2-0. I bet against the Rams both weeks, and I've missed. And I bet for the Bills both weeks, and I've hit. So I'm going to try and right a wrong. I'm going to take the Rams on the road in Buffalo. I think Jared Goff has a very good game, over 350 yards passing, at least 3 touchdowns, maybe 4. I don't think the Bills' defense is going to be able to handle the Sean McVay kind of rollout offense, movement everywhere. I'm going to take that game 28-24, the Rams. The Washington football team, they play the Cleveland Browns. This is a very interesting game to me. Cleveland needs to win this football game. I think the next 3 weeks really determines Baker Mayfield's future in the NFL. I think, so at a company, they usually know that they're going to fire a higher-up person a year before they actually fire them. And they give that person 8 to 9 months to either show improvement, or they use that time to find a replacement. I think that's what's happening in Cleveland. I think Baker Mayfield has this week, the next week against Dallas, and then the following week to get his act together, to put 3-4 games of good play together for them to keep their faith in him. And with Washington's pass rush, I'm not going to believe in Baker Mayfield. I haven't this far, and it hasn't failed me yet. I'm going to take the Washington football team to beat the Cleveland Browns 23-13. Baker Mayfield looks bad, and we are talking next week about where's he going to play next season. The Tennessee Titans playing in Minnesota at the Vikings. I've missed both Vikings picks this year. I'm taking the Titans. Titans are going to start out 3-0. I think the Titans score a lot of points. I'm going to go 38, and the Vikings have shown that they can score points and that they cannot score points. My phone just died. I need your phone. Go to your ESPN app so I can look at the games. My phone died. I knew it was going to die during this. I'm going to pick the. We'll just pull up the. Yeah, download it real quick. I'm gonna while we're doing this, I'll roll into the top and I'll come back. But I'm gonna take the.
What game are you on?
I just pull up the NFL thing. Just leave your phone. I'll do it. Sorry y'all. That very unprofessional. Need to charge my phone. I'm gonna take the Tennessee Titans to beat the Minnesota Vikings 38-16. I think it's a blowout. I don't trust the Vikings. While Aaron's helping me out here, I want to talk about the San Francisco 49ers. I already named off their list of injuries that's longer than time itself. The 49ers got the win last week, but like I said, at what cost? Moving forward, I don't know how I feel. I already didn't feel great about them, but you lost your quarterback, who your coach really doesn't trust anyway, but you've lost both your running backs, Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert, who are really the focal point of your offense. And your number one receiver being your tight end, he's limited in practice. He might not play. You lost Solomon Thomas on the defensive side of the ball. Nick Bosa's injured, your best pass rusher. Richard Sherman's on the IR. I don't think this is a good look for the 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to be in trouble. And they play the Giants this week. And I don't want to be the idiot that misses the first three 49ers picks, but it's going to be hard for me to go with San Francisco moving forward just based off of, first, I really didn't have a lot of high hopes for him anyway. And then the injury bug can derail a football team. And that's really what we're seeing here. And like I said, I hope that that's not the case. I hope San Francisco can get healthy, be a good team, because I think Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty good. I know people want to act like he's not even his own head coach. I think he's pretty good. You can win football games with him. He's shown that he can win football games. You were in a Super Bowl, and he was at the helm. You didn't trust him, but he was still at the helm. So I think if Jimmy gets healthy and looks good and earns some trust from Kyle Shanahan, I think they could be a good team, but I just don't think that trust is ever going to be there. Thank you, Aaron, for giving me your phone. I appreciate you. You're a good man. All right. So the Raiders, who are 2-0, will be playing in Foxborough to play the 1-1 New England Patriots. Raiders coming off of a big Monday Night Football win over the Saints. Looked very good. Derek Carr looked good. I'm taking the Patriots. I think the Seahawks are the best team in football, them or the Ravens. And the Patriots played the Seahawks to the last play. And Cam Newton looked pretty damn good. So I think they continue to do what they've done so far during the year. They're going to play good defense. And they gave up 35 points. But, they're going to attempt to play good defense. Cam's going to do what Cam does. Their offense is really catering to his play style, and it's worked so far. I don't know how much success John Gruden and Derek Carr are going to have against Bill Belichick. So I'm going to take the Patriots. I want to say low scoring, but I said that last week, and I was wrong. I'm going to take the Patriots 31-17. I'll take 17. The 49ers at the Giants. Injury bug. The Giants lost Saquon too. I'm going to take the Giants. It's going to be not a great game, I don't think. I think it's just going to be a messy game. Not having Saquon is going to hurt Daniel Jones. And Chris Mullins is a good backup quarterback, but he is just exactly that, a backup quarterback. Low-scoring game. I'm going to go 17-13, and it's just a game that's kind of messy to watch. The Cincinnati Bengals are playing in Philly this week. I think Philly finally gets a win. But with the way that Joe Burrow has been playing and the way Joe Burrow looks, I think just like last week against Baker Mayfield, I think against Carson Wentz, Joe Burrow is going to be the better quarterback. And I think this is going to be a very close football game, even though the Eagles are a better football team and more talented than the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Joe Burrow is going to play very, very well and continue to play the way that he's played, and he's just going to elevate each week and get better and better and better. So right in the middle of this, I'm going to change my pick. I'm not taking the Eagles. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take them 26-17. I like the number 17 for some reason. The Texans, the Houston Texans are playing in Pittsburgh. Blowout alert. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers 41-21. Blowing out Houston. I'm not buying Houston at all, and I'm real high. If I had stock, I would put it all in Pittsburgh. They look good to me. The Jets at the Colts. I mean, do I need to say much? Jets are pretty hurt. I mean, Sam Darnold's got lawn chairs to throw to. Colts look good against the Vikings. I'm going to take the Colts. I think they throttle the Jets. I'm going to say 32. No, I'll say 31. I mean, 32 is a weird number. I'll say 31-16. They almost double them up. Panthers at the Chargers. Young Matt Rule, his first NFL season as an NFL coach, first year as a head coach. They're 0-2. I think they go 0-3. The Chargers defense is going to be way too much for the Panthers offense, and they lost Christian McCaffrey to an injury as well. So that hurts he's the focal point of their offense on the ground and in the air. So I'm going to take the Chargers. I think the Panthers look really bad without run Christian McCaffrey, without run CMC. I think they score 6 points. I think they get beat 28-6. The Buccaneers at the Broncos. Broncos lose Drew Lock last week. They don't have Von Miller on the defensive end of the ball. Tom Brady's going to have a little bit of momentum going into this week. I think this is a game that the Broncos, if they have Drew Lock, if they have Von Miller, that it could be a real good game, and I might take the Broncos at home. Tampa Bay's still trying to get their, trying to feel out everything. They're trying to get some chemistry going. I'm going to take the Buccaneers. I think they blow out the Broncos. I'm going to go 35-24. I mean, and it's not even that close. The score is closer than what it really is. I think at the end, just like Houston does, I think the Broncos will score a touchdown near the end of the game and make it look closer than it really was. Lions at the Cardinals. Another blowout alert. I am taking the Cardinals to just throttle the Lions. I'm going 38-13. I think they just tear them up. Cowboys at the Seahawks. I'm taking the Seahawks straight up. Russell Wilson's going to kill us. Russell Wilson's going to murder us. He'll throw 5 touchdowns again this week and run for 1. If the Falcons are putting up 39 points on us, Cowboys fans are not going to like this. Dallas puts up points too. We have not seen a 50-piece this year. Don't laugh at me, Aaron. 52-38. I'm taking the Seahawks. I think they hang up some points on this Dallas defense. I don't like Dallas's defense. I'm sorry. I'm prepared. Kyler Durham 21 on Snapchat. Dallas fans, hit me up. I'm one of you. I'm just not as cynical as you guys. Like, our defense sucks. 52-38. Dallas can score. Can't stop anybody. They give up 39 points to the Falcons. Come on. Julio dropped a touchdown. They should have scored 46 points on us. You think Russell Wilson's not going to put up 6 more points on us? Come on. The Packers at the Saints. I think the Saints bounce back. Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones have looked good this year, but coming off a loss, I feel like Sean Payton's going to out-coach Matt LaFleur. He got out-coached last week by John Gruden. He's going to have a good game back. I think it's a nail-biter. I think it's going to be 28-26. I think how you score 25 points, I don't know, but I think we're going to see a game-winning field goal or one with time getting close to expiring, maybe 5-6 seconds left, and it's going to put the Saints up, and they will win 28-26. Here's the game that the game that when the NFL season let out its schedule, this is the game I circled. I was so excited for this. Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens. I picked I picked Baltimore to go 15-1 this year. This is the one. If they win this game, I'm taking Baltimore to go 16-0 in the regular season. Sounds crazy. I'm taking them to go 16-0. If they win this game, I'm going to take the Chiefs, even though they looked a little rusty against the Chargers, and even though the Ravens have looked like a perfect football team, I'm going to take the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs 31-28, close football game, down to the wire. And then my Thursday night game for week 4, we got the Broncos at the Jets. Broncos are going to lose to Tampa Bay. They're going to go 0-3. They bounce back against the injured Jets. Blake Bortles might start this game, or Jeff Driscoll, whichever one. Sam Darnold's got a tough job right now. It's hard to be the New York Jets quarterback. On Thursday Night Football on October 1st, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos, low-scoring game, 19-10. And those are my predictions for Week 3 and the Thursday night game of Week 4 of the NFL. Aaron, thank you for letting me use your phone. Sorry, I'm so unprepared for this. All right. Well, that was crazy. I like how a lot of these are literally off the top of my head. I just kind of look at games and go, okay, how have they played? Who do they have? Who do I like? What players do I not like? And then just kind of go from there. And, I mean, if I don't pick as many upsets like I did last week, I'd have had a pretty good record. So I feel good about those picks going into this week. I took the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And on the drive over here to my dad's house, I was actually thinking about, I was looking at, who am I going to pick kind of thing. And the only game that I was super torn over was that game. The Bengals are not a good football team. Young coach in Zach Taylor, rookie quarterback, not much around Joe Burrow. I just don't trust Carson Wentz anymore. I know we're 2 weeks into the year. I was really high on Carson Wentz coming into this season, but after the injury, after his MVP run, he's not looked good. He has not looked the same. He holds on to the football way too long. Like I said with Gardner Minshew playing the Miami Dolphins, I'm yelling at the TV, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Because in my head, 1001, 1002, 1003, ball needs to be gone. If the ball's not gone, you need to be out of the pocket, doing something with the football, or throw it out of bounds, throw it on the ground, go to the next play. Gardner Minshew held the football way too long against the Miami Dolphins, and it cost him. He stepped into sacks, and he held the ball too long, and his offensive line eventually is going to get compromised. You can't block 6-7 seconds. It's not going to happen. The best offensive line has trouble blocking for 3-4 seconds. So the Jaguars don't have a great line. The Eagles don't have a great line. When you get sacked a lot, it changes the way a quarterback senses pressure. You go from sensing pressure ideally to being kind of paranoid, where you think that there's pressure that there's really not. It changes your mechanics, changes what you think is open. Guys are running wide open, and Carson Wentz is staring them down because the way he senses pressure is different. He got sacked 8 times in week 1. About 4 or 5 of those were on him for holding the football too long because he got hit early and often, and it changes your perception of how much pressure is on you. It makes a 4-man rush seem like a 6-man rush. It makes a guy being 2 feet away from you feels like he's right on top of you. It makes a guy that's pretty open in a window that you can throw look tightly covered. And I don't think I can trust Carson Wentz. Going into the year, I had Carson Wentz. If you ask me a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, I would put Carson Wentz in that list. After 2 weeks, I would put Dak Prescott above Carson Wentz. Daniel Jones hadn't played great. I might put Daniel Jones over him. I don't feel good about Carson Wentz. And I think as the season progresses, I've always wanted to put Carson Wentz, and I'm a Cowboys fan, wanting to show praise to Carson Wentz because I think he's got a high ceiling. I feel like Carson Wentz has a Hall of Fame ceiling with the talent that he has. But he's got a bust floor. He's got a very low floor. If things go bad for Carson Wentz, it's not good. If things go good for Carson Wentz, he's amazing. That's not a good combination. That's how you get guys like Ryan Leaf, and that's how you get guys like Jamarcus Russell. And that's how you get guys, I'm not saying he's like any of them, but I'm saying high ceiling, low floor. And when they hit the floor, they're out of the league. I think Carson Wentz is a mess. And I think the NFC East in total is a mess. I mean, if you watched this last week, Eagles got throttled, Washington got throttled, Giants got beat, but they were never in the game, and they lost Saquon Barkley. So they're done for the year, basically. And Dallas basically got a game handed to them. The NFC East should have been 0-4 this week. We shouldn't have won a single game. Dallas got lucky. Dallas got a game given to them, and they took it. I remember, I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 2016. I can't remember. But the Panthers won the division going 7-9, I think. And, there was a team that was, I think the Saints were 6-10 or something like that, or 7-9 as well. And the Falcons were 6-10. I think that's how this division is going to look, where the winner of this division is going to be 8-8, or even under 500, 7-9. And the rest of the division is going to be 7-9, 5-11, 3-13. I think the NFC East, everybody wants to talk about how it's so competitive. All the NFC East is, that's why they have the races at the end of the year. Week 16, Week 17, the NFC East are important. No, it's because we suck. It's because the NFC East can't beat anybody else out of division. They just kind of competing with themselves, and whoever has the best record in the division will usually win the division for that year. And nobody else is making the playoffs because their records are going to be awful. But the NFC East is a mess, a big-time mess, and I don't think it's quarterback play. Besides Carson Wentz looking bad, Dak Prescott's he's looked pretty good. Daniel Jones he hadn't looked good, but he hadn't looked horrible, and he's a young quarterback with a lot of upside. We're still waiting to see what happens. And I'm not really sold on Dwayne Haskins, but he's not a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. So he's it's not, the quarterbacks aren't great, but they're not bad. They're not bad quarterbacks. I can't put a finger on it what about these teams all suck, but the NFC East is awful. And as a Cowboy fan, going in the playoffs, that's not a good thing because you're going to get your ass whooped because you're not a team that even needs to be in the playoffs. But as a Cowboy fan, you're probably the best team in the division. It's not saying a lot, but if your division's horrible, you don't have to be as good to get to the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. You don't know. So I just want to talk about that, about how the NFC sucks and Carson Wentz might be in trouble. I want to talk about how life is about perspective. There are people that probably see my life and they're like, man, his life sucks. Aaron looks at my life, he's like, man, I'm glad I'm not that bastard. His life sucks. And there's probably someone right across the street from us that goes, dude, that dude gets to talk about sports and doesn't hate his job, and he feels loved. That I wish I was that guy. Life's about perspective. And I want to talk about Cam Newton and Tom Brady's perspectives real fast in New England. If you look at Tom Brady's perspective last year, it was, I've got N'Keal Harry, a young wide receiver. He doesn't know the playbook. I need him to get to a spot. I've been in the system a long time. I need guys that are experienced in this league. I don't want young guys that we have to mold and I've got to teach. I'm here to win. And N'Keal Harry did not have a good year. And the Patriots didn't, Tom Brady's numbers were down. And Tom Brady's very precise. He doesn't want to have to teach. He doesn't want to have to do those things. He wants you to come in, know the system, be ready to win, and do what you're supposed to do and do your job. And now we look at Cam Newton's perspective. He loves N'Keal Harry. It's a young wide receiver, fast, quick off the line. He's learning the playbook with him. They're buddies. To Tom Brady, N'Keal Harry, the wide receiver for the New England Patriots, was kind of a burden. I don't want to teach this guy. I'm not here to teach a wide receiver where I need him to be. I'm here to throw to guys that know where they're supposed to be. Because that's how it's been my whole career. Cam Newton gets here, and I love this guy. Young guy, we're learning together. We're building a relationship. I'm building a new relationship with a guy that I want to become my number one wide receiver potentially. And I've got a safety blanket in Julian Edelman. I know he'll be there. And Tom Brady saw it from the other way of, I don't want to fool around with a rookie or a second-year player. I've done this too long. I'm not here to teach anymore. And life is about perspective, just like you can have the perspective of Cam Newton lost against the Seattle Seahawks. They lost. If they had Tom Brady, they'd have won. My perspective is if they had Tom Brady right here, right now, with that New England team, that game does not come down to the last play. I think Seattle wins that game pretty handily, 25-23, 25-20. I think with the way that the Patriots roster is right now, being pretty depleted and some young wide receivers and not a lot of talent, and guys on their defense opting out, depleting their defense, this might be a hot take. Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying with what the Patriots have, what Tom Brady is right now, and what Cam Newton is right now, I think that in certain situations, from my perspective, life's about perspective, that Cam Newton might be the better option than Tom Brady. I'm never saying that Cam Newton is better than Tom Brady. There's not been a single day on that football field, even in his MVP year, that I would take Cam Newton for a whole season over Tom Brady in the past. But now, 43 years old versus 31 years old, a guy trying to revitalize his career in New England, the best place to do it, or a guy that's on his last leg. Like, this is it for Tom Brady. 2 years max. 3 years max. This is it. I feel like Cam's going to give New England, with their roster, with what they have, Cam Newton's going to give the New England Patriots a better chance to win football games. And I think if you have Tom Brady in that Seattle game, that game does not come down to the last play. It doesn't. I think with Cam in New England, I think we're going to see New England have a better year than what we expected, especially me. 7-9, 8-8 is what I said. Maybe 9-7, 10-6. We'll see. But I think with where everything is at, like I said, life's about perspective. Life is about perspective. There's New England fans that are pissed that Tom Brady left. There's probably New England fans that see it the way I see it, that go, hey, Tom Brady's not mobile at all. The league's kind of turning into a more mobile quarterback league. He doesn't want to work with young wide receivers. Besides Julian Edelman, we've got some pretty young wide receivers. He doesn't like the seriousness. He wants to kind of branch out a little bit. Cam Newton has branched out his whole career. Now he's looking to revamp it and be more serious. It's just a better fit right now. And from my perspective, like I said, life's about perspective. That looks like the better fit. Aaron, you think my life sucks? From your perspective?
No.
You don't think it sucks? That's nice to hear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Man, you talk about running out of time here. I'm at 52 minutes. Hey, can I just keep talking?
You should probably cut it off for an hour.
What time is it?
3:27.
Okay. I want to talk about NBA talent. What is this? Conor McGregor in serious talks to fight Manny Pacquiao. Yuck. December or January. You talk about getting takes right off the press. I'll take that. Yeah, Dana did say he had a fight for him in January. There it is. So Conor might fight Manny. I was talking to Aaron earlier in the car about this topic, and he said that I'm too in depth about sports. But I think that this is a valid topic. In the NBA bubble, I've already said this about Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic on the last episode. You have young guys in this bubble. There's not really a home court advantage. There's not playoff crowds. There's not playoff atmosphere. These young players in the pressure situation in the playoffs, they are not shrinking like they normally do. They are rising because it's a different environment. Usually going into the playoffs, a younger guy on your roster that you're probably going to not re-sign, you will trade that player at the trade deadline to get a vet. If you're a playoff team, a top 4 seed in your conference, you're going to make the playoffs, you'll trade a younger guy to get a veteran presence on your team, to get a guy that you can play in the fourth quarter of a close game that you can trust. Now it's the exact opposite. Look at the 4 teams that are left. They are all very young. And what they all have in common is they have all developed. They're all homegrown guys. They have all developed their talent except the Los Angeles Lakers. My point being that in the NBA, now, or in college basketball, if you're a great player, you're there for 1 or 2 years, and then you're going to the NBA. So you're not fully, you're not fully developed your body first, but second off, your skill set, it's not truly refined. You still have to, you still have to develop certain aspects of your game. And if you look at 3 of the 4 teams that are left, they are like the best 3 teams in the league at developing their young talent. And I feel like in this bubble that the teams that have developed their young talent that don't have to face playoff pressure and playoff crowds, they are thriving. So let me start with in the Western Conference Finals. Lakers are up 3-1. The Nuggets have came back from 2 3-1 deficits in this playoffs, the only team in NBA history to do that. Would they do that in playoff atmospheres at the Clippers? Probably not. Would they do that in Utah, Game 6, Game 7? Probably not. But these young players, if you look at them, these teams have developed these young players. And NBA talent, developing talent, has become better and better and better over time. And the point I'm trying to make as I ramble is look at the 3 teams that I'm going to talk about that are left in the playoffs. Denver Nuggets drafted Jokic, drafted Jamal Murray, drafted Michael Porter Jr. I believe they drafted Gary Harris. If they didn't, they've had him for almost his whole career. They've developed all those guys, and they've all played well. The only guy that they did not develop was Paul Millsap, but he's the veteran guy. He's the veteran that you go and get. They've developed all their young talent. Denver's one of the best teams in the NBA over the past 3 years at developing young talent. Let's go over the Eastern Conference. Both teams in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's start with a team that's up 3-1, Miami. Duncan Robinson, undrafted. Tyler Herro, I believe he was undrafted, played 4 years in college. Kendrick Nunn, second-round pick. They've developed all 3 of those guys very, very, very quickly. And, of course, Pat Riley, he's great at what he does. Eric Spoelstra, the most underrated coach in the NBA. Eric Spoelstra's a great talent evaluator and getting the most out of his players. I mean, Bam Adebayo, young player. He's amazing. They've developed talent just as good as the Nuggets. And then you've got the Boston Celtics, who are also in the Eastern Conference Finals. Jason Tatum. It's a young man. I believe he's younger than me. I'm 24. He's younger than me. He's already a star in this league. Jaylen Brown. Very, very good basketball player. Marcus Smart. I remember watching Marcus Smart at Oklahoma State in 2014 in the NCAA tournament. The dude couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Now he's knocking down threes at the NBA range, 4 or 5 a game. The NBA has gotten very, 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 very good, and specific teams better than the others at taking young, unrefined talent, very raw talent, and molding it into the way that they want and getting the most out of these young players. And being in the bubble is going to benefit these young players and to let them shine more than it would in a normal NBA atmosphere. And the 3 teams that are the best at it, of course, Pat Riley's great. Eric Spoelstra's fantastic. I love Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens is great. And the Nuggets have shown that they're doing this. They were the 3rd seed last year, I believe, or the 2nd seed last year in the playoffs. So, even Utah, the Utah Jazz, develop Donovan Mitchell into a star. I mean, he was already very, very good as a rookie. They've made him better. Rudy Gobert into a defensive anchor. Quinn Snyder's a great coach too, but the NBA has done a very, very good job, like I'm saying, of being able to take talent, guys that 15, 20 years ago aren't on your team, guys in the early 2000s that just don't make the roster and they're in the G League or they have to play overseas. They're finding talent from everywhere. If you can play basketball, if you've got the raw skill, we'll mold it. And these playoffs are really showing the rise and the potential of a lot of these young guys, being Jamal Murray, being even Jaylen Brown, who we already knew was good, Marcus Smart, who we know is a great defender, but now he can shoot, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson. We saw Kendrick Nunn play second in the MVP voting. looking, not bad at all. Bam Adebayo playing like a beast in the paint. It's cool for me to see that. I always like to see when these older guys are getting ready to retire, or when the league, is about to shift into a new wave of players. I like seeing this because it makes me feel good that the league is in good hands. And we're seeing it with the quarterback position in the NFL too. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they're about to leave. Peyton Manning, not too far removed. He left. He retired. We're starting to see these guys, these older quarterbacks. Russell Wiilson he's not old, but he's getting up there. Aaron Rodgers. But we've got this wave of young quarterbacks coming in behind him. Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. We are seeing this next wave of quarterback, this next wave of superstar in the NBA, and how fast these teams are able to develop these guys. It used to be a 3-4 year process. When Kawhi Leonard won his finals MVP with the Spurs, he averaged like 12 points a game that year. He wasn't that good. He just played really good defense on LeBron. He wasn't great. Jimmy Butler is a young player. He didn't just pop onto the scene, and year 1, year 2 was really good. It took time to develop him. These NBA teams are getting better at first picking out the talent that we all don't see, the raw talent, and then developing it very quickly. They basically have speed tracked how fast these guys come into their true potential, their final form, as you want to say. And it went from being maybe 3-4 years to 1-2 years. And the NFL quarterback position is doing the same thing. I think it's kind of cool. I was going to talk about the Lakers, Nuggets. Nuggets find themselves down 3-1 again. There's a lot of talk about LeBron's free throw shooting and all that stuff, and how uneven the series was in free throw shooting. After 4 games, the Nuggets have shot 113 free throws. The Lakers have shot 113 free throws. In the first 3 games, LeBron shot 3 free throws. In Game 4, he shot 14. He got more whistles. Don't be surprised that guys don't get calls in the playoffs. I've said this before. In the playoffs, the refs are going to swallow their whistles. They're not going to. That's why James Harden doesn't succeed in the playoffs. Whistles that he gets in the regular season, last 6 minutes of a close playoff game, he's not getting them. LeBron, during the regular season, plays, whistles he would normally get. He's not getting them. And he's a big guy, so he's going to get hit a lot and take contact and not get calls. Luka Doncic, we saw it this year in the playoffs against the Clippers. Head goes back, flaring the head back. He doesn't get that call anymore in the playoffs. You're not going to get it. I hate it. I hate that the Lakers even called the NFL offices to do it. It's like Shaq all over again when they called to complain about guys hanging on Shaq, and because Shaq's bigger, he doesn't get calls. And the next game, he shot a bunch of free throws. I'm not saying that they made a bunch of calls for LeBron to get to the line. On the free throws, on the calls that I saw LeBron going to the line on, they were almost every single one of them. I think one I didn't really agree with. The other 12 trips to the line, his 12 free throws, other 6 trips or whatever, they were warranted. They were fouls. I just don't like that that's a topic that people want to talk about. The free throws have been literally even, 113 to 113 through 4 games. Don't complain about the officiating. The Lakers are still going to win the game whether LeBron gets to the line or not, or the series. I said Lakers in 5 before the series started. I'm sticking behind that. I think they finish them off tonight. Game 5, I think the Lakers have punched their ticket to the NBA Finals. Real fast, I'll wrap this up. UFC 253, Israel, I can't ever say his last name. Israel Adesanya. I'll just say the last stylebender. I like that better. And Paulo Costa, they will be matching up. And matching up? Do I sound white when I say that? Or uninformed? Matching up. They will be fighting in the octagon. And both undefeated. So, yeah, in the words of Aaron Cross, somebody's O has got to go. I'm going to go with the last stylebender. No explanation for it. I'm going to go with the last stylebender. Y'all enjoy y'all's weekend of football. Y'all enjoy the Lakers-Nuggets game tonight. It'll be the last Western Conference playoff game. Finals will follow it. Lakers and Heat. And I'm going to amend my Super Bowl picks. I took the Eagles and the Chiefs. I'm taking the Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my final prediction for the NFL year. Thank y'all for listening. I will see you on the next episode. Go Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/NYMP. We have 2 tiers now. Aaron's changed that up. If you want details on that, go listen to the NYMP. Aaron covered it on the episode that came out yesterday. Ow, my finger. He covered that on the episode that came out yesterday. If this offends you, sorry. If you are a loved one suffers from depression, get help. Get help. There are people that are that can help you, family, friends. If you go to a school, counselors, it's literally their job is to help people in need. And if you have nobody else, call the suicide hotline. And if you don't even want to call the suicide hotline, Kyle Durham 21 on Snapchat. Snap me. I will always talk to anybody if it means helping somebody. Thank y'all for listening. Enjoy y'all's weekend of football. And I will see you either on the NYMP on Tuesday, the AOC on Wednesday, the NYMP on Friday, or Kai's Sports Opinion next Saturday. Y'all have a good weekend.